just about everybody. CBS, ESPN, Sirius Radio, NFL Network. But he still lives here in Cincinnati. He decided to make this his home after playing days road. David's mom knows him from the country club, and he was more than happy to come out and talk to you guys about it. I was really excited and jumped at the chance to have someone else come talk to you guys about those types of things. I see you got some new faces in the crowd today. So he's gonna. So maybe if you guys are lucky, we'll cut out the fourth quarter today because Mr. Wilcots is hitting out, probably not. But if you guys give him your undivided attention, and if you don't have those earrings out in your ears, by the time he's done talking, me and you are gonna wrestle out. Coach Oz will put you in some kind of weird. All right. Make sure you're respectful, give eyes up the whole time, okay? And then at the end, he's going to give you a little Q&A. So think of some questions as he's talking you would like to ask a guy that was able to reach his dreams and play, at the highest level, okay? So everybody give him a hand up.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. I just thought about, if there was one thing I would want you to come away from this discussion with, what would that one thing be? And I think more than anything, I would want you to emerge from this little discussion just understanding what's really required in order to be a good football player. I'd like to believe that every last one of you, if you're going to play, you want to be good. On Friday night, when parents are all here, the whole school turns out for the big game, that you want to play well. You want to do your parents proud, you want to do your school proud, you want to leave this high school after your senior year having done something very significant, having accomplished something that everyone can remember you by. And the only way that you get to live out that moment, whether it's a state championship, whether it's a league championship, whether it's going deep into the playoffs, whether it's winning that game on Friday night against your rival high school, the only way you get to live out that moment is you got to do the little things right first. The things that come before it is the ability to show up for practice every day, hit the weight room really hard every day, bond together as a team, buy into what your coaches are teaching you every single day. And you got to be able to pull all those moments together so that when you get out on the field on Friday night, you're having a good time. You've already put the work in that's going to allow you to win football games. And not just win every now and then, but to win every Friday night. I'm sure you don't come here just hoping to win one or two games. You want to win every night, every Friday night. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
And the way that you accomplish that is in every single drill of every single practice, you've got to take it serious. That's the moment where you become a better football player. You don't become a better football player when you're laying in bed at night. You don't become a better football player when you sit down for dinner at the end of the day. You don't become a better football player doing other things, hanging out with your friends. You become a better football player in the weight room, in the film room with your coaches, and out here on the practice field. You become a better football team by the time that you actually spend together. How you treat one another, how you push one another every day in practice. I remember when I was in high school, I remember being your same age, I remember going to a school that had not been to a playoff game in 20 years. It was known as the loser high school. I grew up in Southern California, went to high school in Riverside, California. And I just remember going there and everyone talking about how bad the football team was. And I wanted to play football as bad as anyone. And I remember talking to my high school coach and said, hey, we got a lot of guys on the basketball team, there's some good athletes. Why aren't they playing with us? And I remember he and some of the other coaches, they just went around campus looking for young men who just wanted to play football. Next thing you know, we went from having about maybe 30 kids to having 50 kids on football team. And he worked us every single morning. Our first period of the day when we arrived at school was weightlifting. He put us in this small little weight room. He slammed the door shut for that whole period. All you heard was weights banging and clanging, and he's yelling at us every single morning, every single day. That's what we did in the morning. And then after school, you had to walk by his office and by the weight room to go catch the bus to get home. And he forbid you to climb on that bus because you had another weight session every single day after school. Now, as much as I loved football, I hated going into that weight room. It was a sweat box. Can you imagine starting off every day of school that morning, going into a weight room, banging weights, and at the end of the day, you had to do it all over again? And that's where we became a team. We became a very strong team. We became a very physical team. By the time I was going into my senior year, at the time I was done playing, we are 14-0, and we're playing in a state championship game. The team had never been to a playoff game, at least in the last 20 years. Something happened between all those sessions in a weight room and all of those spring practices and all the winter conditioning and then through training camp, where we went from being a team that everyone laughed at to a team that nobody absolutely wanted to play. Didn't happen as a result of some miracle. There was no magic trick that occurred. It was simply hard work. Simply a bunch of guys who wanted to win games on Friday. We wanted to be celebrated. We wanted to make a name for ourselves. We wanted to make sure when we left there that they were still talking about us 20 years from now. And that's what you have an opportunity to do. But how do you get there? It all starts with practice. It all starts with the work ethic. When you get out of bed every morning, you come over here, you gotta have a purpose. You gotta have a reason for being here. You say, today is the day that I'm gonna become a better player. Today is the day that if I'm a quarterback, I'm gonna make sure my reads are right, my checks are right. I'm gonna make sure everything I do is helping us to win. If I'm a running back, I'm not fumbling the ball. I'm going through every single drill with a sense of purpose. And that's how you get better, every single day. I cover the NFL for CBS. I announce games for CBS. I've done it for 13 years. I worked at ESPN. I worked here locally at Channel 5. I covered high school sports for years, working for WOWT, Channel 5 here in Cincinnati. It was the day after Christmas, 2 years ago. Day after Christmas, I fly into New England. I'm doing a Patriots game. They're getting ready to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so it was the day after Christmas. We normally meet with the players, meet with the coaches, then we meet with maybe 4 or 5 players, usually always the quarterback. In this case, that quarterback is Tom Brady. Patriots have been struggling. They had lost, I think, 2 of their last 4 games, and for the Patriots to lose 2 games, that's a real big deal. If they lose 2 games within a month. And so, after watching the tape, I saw that Tom Brady he had been struggling. Threw a few interceptions in this loss, threw another 2 interceptions in another loss. And so obviously he's on our list of players to talk to try to get an understanding for what's going on with the team. Why are you guys struggling? Why have you lost 2 of your last 4 games? And why have you personally been struggling, throwing interceptions that's really uncharacteristic for a player of Tom Brady's caliber? So obviously, we have him on the list, and then the PR guy comes and says, "Look, Tom can't talk to you after practice today. He's got family in town. It's Christmas. He wants to spend time with his family members. And I'm like, you got to talk to the quarterback. It's Tom Brady. You can't call the game if you don't talk to Tom Brady. And so he says, well, Tom says that he'll give you a call tonight and he'll answer any of your questions. So I'm thinking, yeah, right, Tom Brady's going to call me, tonight while he's trying to have dinner with his family. So I was anticipating not talking to Tom. We're in our production meeting later that night. Next thing you know, my phone rings and it's Tom Brady. He says, Solomon Wilcots, Tom Brady. Sorry I couldn't make it to the meeting earlier today. I have family in town. I needed to get home to, spend some time with them. But, whatever you need, you got it. Ask me whatever you want. And so I remember asking Tom, I said, hey, you've struggled lately. And you guys, what's been going on with the team? What's been going on with the offense? What's been going on with you? And you know what he said? And I was shocked by his answer. He says, well, I've been dealing with some injuries that has not allowed me to practice over the last month. He said, this week, I've made every practice. I've been able to participate and throw in every single drill of every single practice. And I'm thinking, this is Tom Brady. He's one of the best players in the league. I mean, it's just that simple. You just got to practice. And he says, when I practice, I can lock in on everything I need to do in a game. I can get in rhythm with my receivers. He said, when I'm not able to practice, I struggle. I struggle in games. I struggle to have the confidence needed to go out and challenge defenses. I struggle to gain rhythm with my receivers. He said, I need to practice. He said, this week I've been able to practice and I feel really good about tomorrow's game. Tom Brady came out the next day. This game, I mean, it was phenomenal. He throws for over 300 yards. He got 4 touchdown passes and he made it look easy. You all have seen Tom Brady play. He can make it look very easy. Now, imagine yourself. You're a high school player. You want to play well on Friday nights. According to Tom Brady, if a player of his caliber needs to practice, what do you think about yourself? What do you think? Think practice is important? I mean, if practice is important for Tom Brady, it's got to be important for you, right? I know it's important for me. If I practice, I felt good. I felt great. I felt strong. If I was able to get into the weight room, I felt invincible. If I did the work, I knew I was prepared. It's like a test in your classroom. If you don't study, do you feel confident? Nah, man. You're just hoping and wishing. You're hoping to get lucky, right? Well, it's the same way with playing. If you don't prepare, if you don't put the work in, there's no way you could expect to succeed. It's just not going to happen. You might get lucky one game here or there, and ball fall in your hand, you run it back for a touchdown because somebody else made a play and hit the guy, ball popped up, and you caught it and ran. But if you want to be a consistently good player, practice is vitally important. Every single drill, every single play of practice is important. Practice ought to be so hard, ought to be so difficult. You ought to push yourself so much in practice every day where game time is easy. Game time is fun. You're jumping around, you're flying around because you've already put the work in. If every single one of you work that hard every single day in practice, I'm telling you, games will seem easy. I don't care who you're playing against. I don't care how good they are. If you take care of what you're supposed to do right here, in the weight room, in film study, on the practice field, game time will seem easy. And it'll be successful. You'll win games. You'll have celebrations. This school will honor you. The town won't forget you. But it takes winning. But before winning comes, you got to go back to practice. I've had the same conversation with Drew Brees. I've had the same conversation with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is notorious for not missing practice. He makes guys stay out after practice for more practice. Now, these are great players. And we're not talking about any other sport. We're talking football. These are great players in what's required to be successful as a football player. And that is time on the practice field, time with your coaches, putting in the work. If you put in the work, success will come. Do you believe me?
Sure.
Do you believe your coaches?
Yes, sir.
If you do what they tell you to do, you'll be successful. That's how you become a good football player as an individual. You handle your business, and then you become a good team. If each individual does it, you become a good football team. Now I'm going to just, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear. If you have any questions, you can present them. I'd love to be able to answer your questions specifically. Anybody have any questions? You don't want to know anything? You don't want to know how you yourself could be a better player if you're a defensive back, if you're a quarterback? You guys got everything you need? Coaches, you have any questions? Help them out.
How about the transition from the different levels, like the transition from high school to college? What was the difference in that transition in terms of the level of competition, the speed of the game, having to manage not having mom to make sure, or dad make sure that you've got breakfast in the morning and have to do it yourself and things like that?
Good question. I'll tell you right now, I remember being on a high school team and signing that letter of intent, to go to the University of Colorado, 4-year ride, scholarship. But thought I've arrived. Oh, this is what I worked for. This is what I wanted. First day of practice. Oh my goodness. Coaches are calling you every name but the name on your birth certificate. Early mornings. We're up at 6 a.m. every morning. And there's nobody to come get you up. You better be in that weight room, getting taped, getting ready, getting your breakfast, getting taped, getting on the practice field by 7 a.m. And you got to get that done. You got to get that done. You don't get breakfast and you're out on the field and you're weak because you didn't eat anything, that's on you. They time you, they test you from the day you walk in the door. And if you don't meet their standards, they have this thing called dawn patrol. So they get you up at 6 a.m., they run you, and then they tell you, go get breakfast, go get taped, we'll see you at practice, where they're gonna run you some more. Once the season starts, you're practicing every day, you're up at 6 a.m., you're going to class, you're practicing every day. Then you have dinner, then you have to study. You're lucky if you get to bed by midnight. It's back at it again the next day at 6 a.m. Every single day, this goes on for months. Then if you're strong enough to make it through a season, trust me, that's why they have close to 100 players on a Division I team, because everybody's gonna be needed. Because everyone's dropping like flies. You can't cut it, they'll find someone else to do it. There's 10 guys at your position. There's probably 5, 6 quarterbacks in a big-time Division I program, but only one gets to play. And so you have to manage schoolwork, you have to manage weightlifting, you have to manage every single thing as a young man. And trust me, it will test you. But if you can endure all of that, if you can make it to the weight room, you can be responsible, do what you're supposed to do. I think when I left to go to college, I was 165 pounds. 4 years later when I left, I was 195 pounds. 30 pounds of muscle, 30 pounds. I went from a boy to a man in a short period of time. When I came into the NFL, I wasn't afraid of anything, of anyone. I felt I could tackle anybody, I could cover anybody, I'm as fast as anyone, because I put the work in. So it's gonna be hard. When you sign for that scholarship, it's more of a promissory note. They're gonna give you 4 years of education, they're gonna feed you, they're gonna fatten you up, because they want you big, fast, and strong. But nothing's for free, right? They're going to require some things of you, and they are going to work you as hard as anyone can, Because if coaches at that level, if they don't win, they get fired. And they'll bring in new coaches. So they know that everything that they've got going as a coaching staff, it depends on your ability to perform on Saturdays. But guess what? If you perform well, then guess what? Good things happen for you. Maybe you get to go and play at the next level. If you perform well in the classroom, you get to graduate, go on to a good life. And that's what they're there to help you do. But you've got to be there to help them do something as well, right? You've got to perform well. Any other questions? Yeah.
At some point in your life, you realized that commitment was going to get you where you wanted to be. What flipped the switch for you when you were on that fence? Because
that was a good question. Everybody hear that question? What flipped the script for me that helped me to understand what the commitment was about? Well, I think if you grow up in an area where I grew up, you learn early that you don't have a whole lot of options. I didn't have, various options. I knew that if I was going to go to college, football was going to be my means for getting there. I grew up in an area of Los Angeles that was as bad as any inner city situation that you could ever run into. There was gang violence and drugs, things that I chose not to be a part of, but I knew I wasn't going to go back to that. I knew that I had to work hard. If I was going to have a better life, football was going to be a vehicle that allowed me to do that. It's going to be a vehicle that allowed me to go to college. Whether I played in the NFL or not, I didn't know. But I knew I'd be able to go to college, graduate, get a degree, and improve my life and never have to go back to a situation that I didn't want any part of. So I guess the answer to that question is I was always committed, 100%, because I had no other option. And for many of you, I don't know what your situation is like, but really you should take advantage of this opportunity. Because football is a great sport. Obviously, it allows you to go to college, it allows you to get an education, it allows you to go and do things in life that maybe you didn't even imagine. But whatever it is that you dream of doing, even outside and beyond football, this is a great vehicle for that. It's a great vehicle to establish the discipline needed, the commitment you need, and it gives you a model on how to become successful. You cannot become a good football player if you don't get out of bed, get here, put in the work. That's the only way you can expect success. So no matter what you decide to do well after football is over, if you don't get out of bed, you can't be successful. If you don't put in the work, you can't be successful. You do have to have the commitment every single day to put in the work. And from then on, whatever it is you decide to do, trust me, that's the key to success. If you just get out of bed, put the work in every single day, over time, if you put the work in, you'll grow, you'll develop, and you'll be successful. Any other questions? That's it? Hey, yes.
What position were you?
What position was I? I played defensive back. In high school, I played some of every position. I'm sure you guys get to play a little bit of everything. But defensive back was always my position of choice. You know why? I found that when I played wide receiver or when I played running back, you had to wait for the coach to call your name. You had to wait for them to give you the ball. You had to wait for them to call a play, design a play to get you the ball. If you're a receiver, you're out there running around, and they might throw you the ball. If you're lucky, they throw it to you 10 times a game, which usually doesn't happen, right? If they throw it to you 5 times a game, that's great. But you know how many snaps are in a football game? I know in an NFL game, the average number of snaps is 65 plays. Why do you think all these wide receivers in the NFL complain all the time? They're all divas, complaining, begging for the ball. 65 snaps, 5 plays, that's a lot of running around for very little. So as a defensive back, what I loved about playing on defense, you don't have to wait for someone to call your number. Every time they snap the ball, go make a play. If you're on defense, every time they snap the ball is an opportunity to go make a play. Now, they may not throw it in your direction. They may not run over there on that specific play. But if they break or run away from you and you take the perfect angle clear to the other side of the field, not only can you make a play, you can get a strip, cause a fumble, you can get an interception, tip of the ball. Coaches teach you run to the ball, right? On defense, run to the ball. Why is he teaching you run to the ball? Because when you get there, something can happen. But you got to make it happen. You don't have to wait for someone to call your number. You don't have to wait for someone to design a play for you. On defense, every single snap is an opportunity for you to make a play. Every single play is an opportunity for you to hit somebody in the mouth. Every single play is an opportunity for you to cause a fumble, interception, go hit the quarterback, go hit the running, go make a play. You see Ray Lewis sitting around waiting for somebody to call his number? No. You just go make a play. So that's why I decided to play defense. You know, they'll have you thinking that everybody always wants to play offense. You really love hitting people. You love action. Defense is where it's at. So that's why I desired to play defensive back maybe more than any other position. Do I have any other questions? Yes.
Tell these guys just how bad it hurts when you get hit in the NFL.
The funny part about it is you don't feel it at the moment because your adrenaline is running so high. I can remember getting hit sometimes or taking on guys 350 pounds. I mean, much bigger than I am, and I'm running into them, stonewall them. Big running backs. I remember tackling a Herschel Walker, Bo Jackson. These dudes are big, and they're fast, and they're strong. And the next morning is when you feel it. It's when the adrenaline subsides, and you go to get out of bed, and I can tell you right now, there were some mornings where you could barely move, you could barely get out of bed. But that's why you don't get to play forever, because the body can only take so much. We put our bodies through a lot, and that's why the weight room is really important, guys. That's the time you spend there. It allows you to stay healthy. It allows you to be able to take on people who might be bigger than you are, faster than you are, but your strength and your sheer tenacity and your will and your desire, it's forged in the weight room. It really is. When you put the work in there, you can take on people who are much bigger and still win. You can do that. But you gotta put the work in. You can pound people all day. It's gonna hurt. That's where it's mind over matter, and you have to be mentally tough. You come back out and you practice and you start all over again. Let the other guy be the guy that lays in bed and says, Coach, I can't take it anymore. My body's breaking down. I'm hurting. I can't practice today. I can't play today. Let the other guy be the guy. Have you ever been in the game and over 4 quarters, early in the game, everybody's running fast, hitting strong. By the time you get to the 4th quarter, there are some people, their will break. They don't want to play anymore. This game's too physical. It's too cold out. I don't want to catch it. The ball's hard, it's cold. Let the other guy quit. You work hard, you practice hard, you're mentally tough. You'll win more games simply because the other guy just can't cut it. The other guy is giving in to pain. Vince Lombardi is a famous coach of the Green Bay Packers. He said that fatigue makes cowards of us all. If you're not in good condition, you're not in shape, you're not strong, by the time you get to the 4th quarter, someone still wants to play, someone doesn't. Don't let that guy be you, okay? I appreciate you guys. You've been great. Thank you very much. I wish you guys a successful season. Play hard, practice hard, okay? Can you do that? All right, thanks, guys.